online. Hi, Rose. Hi, Christine. Hello, everybody. It's amazing. I'm on time too. I was just dilly-dallying, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do the show at noon, and it was like 12:30 when I decided that. Well, that half hour went by just like that. But thank you guys for waiting and for now seeing scheduling shows. I'm doing this on purpose because I recognize that people they miss my shows or they don't know what time I'm coming on, and I cannot give you definite times. The Beach Report just isn't like that. I mean, a lot of times you can count on me for the sunset time, but in general, I come on whenever I feel like it, whenever there's breaking news, whenever it's a good time, I just I don't really know. I'm flying by the seat of my pants all the time. I call myself a free range woman because I am not confined really by anything or anyone. And that is a great thing in my life and something that I hadn't had for most of it when I was a daughter and then a mother and still a daughter and taking care of the old people as they got sick and the young people as they got old. And then the dog, Ray. And hi, Susan. And I'll bet, Susan, you can relate to this one. Never, ever, ever been on my own ever before in my life until now. Susan's still never been on her own, right? You have so many responsibilities. You have so many people in your lives who need you and need your help. Yes, no, thank you, Jesus. And Susan is one of the really lucky ones because she has an amazing husband who I love. Hi, Daniel. I'm feeling better. Thank you for asking. You can hear it's still a little bit congested. And it does seem like every time I go to do my show and start talking, the congestion comes back. I've got some hot coffee. I'm trying to keep myself flooded with liquids because you lose a lot of liquids when you're sick and liquids are coming out your nose, right? It's not cool. But you are so lucky. You have such a beautiful family and the pets. And I love you guys, actually. Susan and her people in Houston. It's like they're my new Houston family. I love them. They keep me grounded. Hello, Minnesota. Wow, Aqua, you're in Minnesota. What's that like? Did you realize that you guys were so wealthy that you could just lose billions of dollars and nobody really noticed? Darla says, never been alone either in my life until my husband died. And I am loving my life now. Hello, Utah. Hi, Heather. How you doing? Malik. What a funny thing to say. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yes, you may ask my age. I'm 60 years old and happy. Happy to be 60. Jill, Dr. Brian Artist talks about a 3 milligram nicotine patch. You know what, Daniel? I actually have the nicotine patches. Somebody gave them to me, and I have heard that nicotine is really good for you. And you actually have nicotine receptors in your body, and that it's the poisons from all the other stuff and cigarettes and tobacco products that make them so dangerous. It's really not the nicotine. So I do have these nicotine patches. Hey, Nicole. But I do not, wait, why is there a shield by my name? Why is there a shield by your name? That's kind of weird. I don't know. What's up with that? Well, are you a member? I don't know. I don't know what that shield is. I've literally never seen that before. I think you're a moderator, so I don't know. I used to be a wrench, and it used to be a wrench, and now it changes to a shield. Maybe that's what it is. Moderators. I think that wrenches are not as good as shields. I think you do shield me from the nasty people. So, oh, thank you, Orcatar. Thank you so much. I sound like Edna from the Owl House. Nice. Who is Edna and what is the Owl House? I don't know what that is, but it seems like a good thing. So I'm going to say thank you. And thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it more than you know. Yeah, Rose has never seen the shield either. Yes, let's make a goal. I love when you do that, Nicole. You guys are great. I have the best followers in the whole world. But I do want to talk about one thing that keeps happening consistently on my beach report shows, and that is that every now and then, well, almost every day, a man comes on the beach report, sees me talking, sees me smiling, sees me glowing in the sunshine, and they think that they could date me. But I need to tell you guys, it's not happening. I am 60 years old. I am not looking to date anybody because I am a widow. I am still in love with my husband, even though he's passed away. We only had 5 years together in our lives. We were only married for 11 months, so please understand that I want to keep being married. He might not be here physically, but he's definitely here spiritually. He's definitely in my head, in my heart, on my finger. Rose says, when my grandson comes over, he's going to teach me how to send gifts because now that I got a new debit card, I want to share a gift. Ooh, I love that. I mean, maybe these guys can tell you how to do it. How'd you send that gift, Orca? Nicole says, I'm sorry. I know your heart hurts and the world doesn't ever stop. And that's what hurts. But you know what? Actually, my heart does not hurt. That's not true. I'm pretty happy with life, and I miss Ray, but our relationship is different now that he's gone. I do wish that I had more time in my life with him. Hi, Dr. Mark. Nice to meet you. Glad you're here. Please like and subscribe. Yes, yes, Orca, help everybody who needs to learn how to do super chats. I want them to learn it. Okay, next to the chat bar, there's a little present icon. Click on that. Well, that sounds easy. You don't need to be taught how to do that. Oh, thank you. Sorry for your loss. For what it's worth, you look like you are doing fantastic. I am doing fantastic. It's true. I've been a widow for more than 3 years now, and so I'm getting kind of used to it. And it really is a different relationship that I have with my husband in heaven. And you're right, Rose. It is kind of like I'm still in the honeymoon phase, especially because my husband was sick when I married him, and I knew that I would be a widow. And I also knew that by marrying Ray, nobody could take that away from me. How did you get through it? I got through it with you guys. Oh, the super chat is right next to the present. Looks like $1. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bob. Super helpful. Well, Mark, I am in Florida, so bright and breezy is the way to be, although it's not a bright and breezy day. Actually, we woke up to torrential rain and cold and like in the low 60s, which we don't appreciate here in South Florida. I expect the weather to be 70s, mid 80s, and sunny all the time. I'm glad you're here, Daniel. I know you guys love me. And that is how I got through it, actually. The Beach Report. I've been doing this show for the past 10, well, actually 11 years now, and I have amassed a group of followers who are like no other. when you'll be back on the beach. I'll be back on the beach when the weather gets better. And also, I got to kick this cold, so I'm not going out in the bad weather. Those of you who are up north, I know you're probably hating on me saying bad weather and cold, and it's only 61. Oh wait, Orcator says to send a super chat, click on the dollar icon, then select super chat. Once you select super chat, type what you want to send. Make sure you choose what amount of money you want to send. Thank you guys. Super helpful. Tom Jones, that's a good song. My mom used to love Tom Jones. She's a lady. Yeah, that's a good one. I also wanted to talk today about the Clintons and the fact that they say that they've caved, like because they're said they're going to testify, and they call that caving, but I'll believe it when I see it. What does Rose say? Thank you for telling me now how when my grandson gets here with my debit card because he needed gas. Okay. Oh, thank you, Rose. It is simple. Florida's supposed to be in the 70s and 80s in the winter, but 60s is cold. No, we do have our cold winter times. Hi, Jasmine. See you later, Nicole. I'm glad you're here. I haven't seen you in a while. A heat wave in upstate New York, it's almost 20 degrees. Yeah, this is why I left Pittsburgh. Yeah, W says nobody cares, but you're here, so I think you do care. If you leave, then we'll know you don't. I'm not a sports fan, but of course I have to go with the Steelers because I'm a Pittsburgh girl, so I have to. May I ask what end of the political spectrum you are on? No, it's fine. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm MAGA all the way. I love my country. I love my president. And I want the world to be a better place. And I know that that's what President Trump is doing. Because we are finding out every day the extent to which the Democrats, all of the Democrats, have attempted to ruin not just America, but the whole flippin' world. Oh, okay, W, thank you. But we love Daniel, so don't put Daniel down. Oh, you're a redneck. Okay, W, that's okay. I call people out, so just be prepared for that because, and if you don't like Donald Trump, I have to wonder why. I think you don't like him because the TV told you not to like him. Because honestly, Donald Trump is the best thing that has ever happened to the United States of America and the entire world. Yes, this is Maryland on my shirt. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Bob's in a super liberal area. The Trump derangement is wild here. I know, right? But it also makes me think, here's the thing, W, you say you just don't like him, but do you know him? Have you ever met President Trump in person? Like, is he somebody that you could say, I don't like him? But you don't know him. And maybe you don't like who he is or how he behaves or how he talks and whatever. And that's fine. We all have our own opinions. But what you should like is how he is calling out all the criminals in America and defending us from him. I wonder about people who, a horrible person would be someone who lies to you repeatedly and tells you things like, the border is closed and there are no criminals coming in to rob you of all your welfare money. That would be a horrible person. Another horrible person would be, let's say, a former president who is a sexual predator and repeatedly tells everybody it's not true. Like, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. That's a horrible person. Yeah, a horrible person is somebody who tries to destroy your country right in front of your face and laughs at you when you say, what are you doing? And try to call them out. That's a horrible person. So, hey, Marky Mark's in the house. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. Why do you want Mexican people to come to America? Why can't they stay in Mexico? Why don't the Mexicans want to make Mexico great again? Tell me that. I mean, you're Mexican, and Mexico is a beautiful country. I know, I've been there many times. So why do you want to come to America? Because of the money, right? Because you might be able to take advantage of the American taxpayers. Is that why you want to come to America when you're Mexican? Because America is a great place for Americans, but when it comes to people from other countries, they seem to think it's a great place to take advantage of American people. And we don't appreciate that. And we're learning now that people who come from other countries into our country are not coming here because they want the American experience. They're not coming here because they love our hot dogs and apple pie. They're not coming here because they think that our Constitution is a wonderful thing. They come here to steal from us. And that is just a fact. And we are learning it day by day, and it gets worse and worse and worse. So I would like everybody from other countries to stay in their countries and make their countries great. And we'll come visit you. I hope all the Venezuelans who are here, who escaped Maduro and escaped their country's descent into communism, will now go back to Venezuela and make it great again. It's not racist to speak like this. It's just facts, okay? Why don't you want to live in the country of your origin? Because maybe you let it go into communism and you let the criminals take over and you let them steal from you. And now you've got to run away because your country is so dangerous because you let the criminals loose. So, yeah, I know you think I'm ignorant, but I've been in this world for 60 years. I've lived through it, and it's not ignorant to notice when people are literally stealing from you, stealing from your country, taking advantage of the welfare programs that you have to help your own people. It's not right, and the Americans are tired of it. So those of you who want to come into America and keep taking advantage of our good nature, you're learning now that that's not happening anymore. And this is the reason why I'm probably more educated than most of the people coming on here right now. Actually, I've lived in different countries and I have immigrated. I immigrated away from America because I was so disgusted with this country. I became a Swiss citizen in 1996. And I ended up having to leave Switzerland because I was married to an alcoholic who was abusive. And I came back to my home country. And oh wait, before the alcohol abuse, this man wanted to be he didn't want to be an American, but he wanted to move to America. So we did that in the 90s. Well, I'm sorry, 2001. We moved to America. Me and my naturalized children who were born in Switzerland, naturalized Americans, and my husband with the green card. And we moved to America. And my husband with the green card and me and my country said, oh, no, you can't just come home. You have to be sponsored. Yeah, we have to make sure you don't become a ward of the state. We have to make sure you never, ever use welfare. You have to be sponsored. So my grandparents opened up their books to the government and proved that if anything happened and we lost our jobs, that they would take care of us. Because that's how a country works. And that's what they did to me. Even though I'm an American, I had to literally prove that I would never, ever use welfare by being sponsored. So say what you want about me. I'm not on welfare. I never have been. Oh, no, that's not true. There was a time where my husband from Switzerland decided that he didn't want to work anymore. And he thought it would be just great if he became what he called a house daddy. house daddy drinking all day. And I continued to work as I always have. I've been a journalist. Thank you, Rose. You're the best. Yeah, I guess your son's there. Tell him hi. Thank you. I love you so much. Um, yeah, why have a Mexican flag when you live in America? Exactly. I'm more of a real American than most people are, actually. I was born in this country, and I did leave, and I did get citizenship in Switzerland. And when I came back, I was welcomed back as a dual American. So I do have citizenship. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Love you guys. I have citizenship both in Switzerland and in America. And if they ever need me to renounce my citizenship in Switzerland, I will do it in a heartbeat. But right now, I'm going to keep that Swiss citizenship because I worked really hard for it. You know, I started to realize more about life. Well, Jasmine, and by the way, you guys, Jasmine on here is a teenager. So please keep in mind the teenagers do watch the Beach Report. And we do have to give them, grace and help them through life and be role models to the teenagers. So, is your 4-year-old daughter Mexican in Mexico, or is she in America as a Mexican? Because when you live in a country, it is important that you assimilate into that country and be a citizen and be part of that country. By the way, when I moved to Switzerland, I had to learn a language that was really flippin' hard to learn. First, I had to learn German because they read and write in German, but they don't speak German. They speak a dialect called Swiss German, and it's different in every single village. And if you don't speak the exact dialect of that village, they all know that you're a foreigner. And the Swiss people don't really like foreigners. And I'm talking foreigners like from the next village. Swiss people aren't actually neutral. They're more kind of like ethnocentric, you could say. So you do have to be careful. When you move to another country, you know, you want to be part of that country. And if the country wants to give you a passport and make you a citizen, you should have to prove to your neighbors and your officials and everything that not only are you part of your society or your community, but you can speak the language, you can read and write, you have children that you are teaching to be good neighbors and good stewards of the community that you live in. Why are some European men so lazy? That's a great question, Brian, and I wish I could answer that. Yes, if you live in America, you need to speak the language, exactly. Raised by Polish Italian parents, and I'll bet they taught you how to speak English. I'll bet you don't even know Polish or Italian. Am I right, Raymond? And you should have to prove to another country, if you're moving there, you should have to prove that you will be a good friend and neighbor and citizen. Yeah, why would you want someone in your country who is a criminal? You should have to prove that you're not a criminal. I did. I proved it in so many ways. I had to give them my fingerprints. I have been vetted in 50 different ways. So you guys can all be very well assured that I'm not a criminal. Never have been. Oh, Brianna. Oh, I'm sorry, Brianna. I just see the Brian part and I stopped it. How do you prove that you're not a criminal? Well, you can prove that you don't have a criminal record. There's that. You know, it's funny. That's a good question. When I first moved to Switzerland, I didn't move there originally. I just went there to visit and had a boyfriend there. And I wanted to get to know him, and I didn't want to have to marry anybody to stay in a country. So I went to Switzerland as a au pair girl. I wasn't really an au pair girl, but my boyfriend's family had little kids. His brother had little kids, and I don't date anyone, Barry. We talked about that, but we can talk about it later. Not here to date people, by the way, not even a little bit. Anyway, I went to Switzerland on an au pair visa so that I could be there for at least a year and get to know my boyfriend and see if we really were compatible, which we were for a while until I found out that he was a hopeless alcoholic and an abusive guy. But anyway, whatever. Yeah, I finally had to run away from Switzerland. Be that as it may, I followed all the rules. I followed the rules in Switzerland, going to Switzerland. I followed those rules to a T. And coming back to America, I followed those rules to a T. I paid all the money. I did everything right. I know everything there is to know about immigration, having done it myself to and from the United States. So if you guys want to ask questions about that, I can answer them. And if you think that illegal immigration is something that you're all for, then you're not gonna like my show. I'm getting better with my cold. Yeah, I know you guys can hear that I'm still a little bit congested, but I'm fine. I'm not coughing or sneezing anymore. I just got over this cold. It's been about, well, like 4 days, and it's not so bad. I feel fine. I think sometimes you need a good cold to kind of clean you out. Maybe give you some immunities. Who knows? I'm 60 and I'm healthy and I'm happy and everything's working out really well. So anyway, I did want to talk about the Clintons. I'm JB. I'm glad you're here. Yes, I'm all about common sense. And did I really live in Switzerland? I sure did, and became a Swiss citizen. I lived there for 10 years. Actually, I lived there from 1990 until 1999. And then I went back to America with my family and my ex-husband and everything. And then we lived in America until 2008 when my husband was like, I've had enough of this. And I had to go back to Switzerland. And he was an alcoholic. And he said he would get help if he went to his hometown. So I fell for that one. And then I had to run away. What's my opinion on political asylum seekers processing their citizenship because there's no telling if they are criminals? You know, I don't believe asylum seekers anymore. I'm sorry. I don't believe in all these people coming to my country here in America to get away from their bad countries. I feel like, why don't you stay and fight for your country? Why don't you make your place better? Why don't you stop accepting the criminals and stop telling them that you're so awful, I'm just going to leave? You know, you have to take care of yourself and your own country. And so the alcoholics are here. Yeah, tired of all the jobs being stolen, tired of the money being stolen. And you know what? You say people love money. I don't love money. I kind of hate money. Might be why I don't have any, but I really don't care. Because I don't think that you actually need money to be happy. I think it does help. And if you don't care about Donald Trump, that's your thing. But we do care about Donald Trump very much. So you're only speaking for yourself. Tired of not being able to get the health care I paid into my whole life because someone who came across the border is getting everything first. Yeah, Raymond, I don't even have health insurance. And I don't believe in it. And I don't believe in health care in America either. I don't believe in any of it. And yes, I want to make America great again. And if you are lazy, then you get the government that you deserve. Exactly, Nick. Long live President Trump. People leave their country for the love of money and the American dream. Yeah, but if the American dream means that you have left a country where you took advantage of everyone around you and then you come to our country and you keep doing the same, we don't want you here. We don't want you here. I will not get a Medicare when I turn 65, actually. Apparently, I won't get that till I'm 67. So let's see if I live that long. But I'm not going to turn down something that is being given to me that I've lived here most of my life, except for that 10 years in Switzerland. But I deserve everything every other American deserves. Don't you think? And when my husband was dying and I asked the government for some help with taking care of him because he wasn't in a nursing home, because I stopped everything in my life to take care of him, and the government said, too bad for you. You get nothing. Yeah, I got nothing. The only time I ever got help is a little bit of food stamps when I ran away from Switzerland with just the clothes on my back and my 2 little children. And I only did that for a short time too, because it wasn't a handout, it was a hand up. And I deserved it. I'm an American citizen. I deserve everything. Please do call ICE on me. Please do that, and we'll see what happens. She has good mods, and you'll go bye-bye. Exactly. Oh my gosh. Today, the American dream is leaving your country and getting free handouts for decades and decades. Yeah, exactly. But it's over now. It's over. We're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. I love that song. It's so true. So many white men marry immigrants. It's weird. You're right, Barry. But a lot of times those white men that marry immigrants, usually like from the Polynesian places, they do that because those women, they take care of their men, from what I understand. They're like super wives, will do anything. Then they might steal you blind, but not all of them. But I understand that women from third world countries are often better wives than American women. And American women like me don't want to be wives. So I'm done. I'm done. I did it twice, not going back, not ever going to be anyone's wife ever again. They're like guppies cleaning a lily pad. Good one, Raymond. You're right. Yes, we are jealous. We are jealous of all those immigrants who broke into our country and get everything that we have. We are jealous of that. Not jealous in a way that we want what they have. It's because they stole what we have. And I wouldn't even say that we're jealous. I would say that we're angry. I'd say that we feel like we have been taken advantage of in the very worst way a person can be taken advantage of. And to see people come on the show and say nasty things to me, an American citizen who has paid into the system my entire life, you think I don't deserve to get my Medicare, which I don't even care about because I don't believe in health care and I don't have any health insurance and I don't go to see doctors. That's just me. And you're right, Americans need to have more kids, and I think that's a great thing, and I'm going to become a grandmother this spring, so right on board with that. And Poland is awesome. You're right, Gretchen. Poland is a place where they do understand national sovereignty and how important it is to take care of yourself. And I was born and raised in America, so you can't take that away from me, but they did take something very special away from me when I was born in this country. I was lucky, so lucky. I was born in 1965, and back then it was illegal to kill your own baby. In the womb, out of the womb, they didn't kill babies back in 1965, and if they did, it was, like I said, it was a crime. And but here's the thing. Being born into the wrong people at the wrong time is, quite frankly, today especially, it's a crime punishable by death. So when you are an unwanted pregnancy, your life hangs in the balance. And I speak for all the unwanted pregnancies who can't speak for themselves because they never got the chance to live like I did. Yeah, Hungary too. Yeah, Viktor Orban, I love him. I think he's great. You're right, Selena. I am a natural born American. So, yeah. And you can call me crazy all you want, but I think maybe you are projecting. Free healthcare for all Americans. If only the healthcare was real. Because I don't believe in healthcare either. I think the best healthcare is to eat fresh food, to get lots of sunshine, to exercise. And not exercise in a crazy way, but go out and take a walk. That's healthcare. That's real healthcare. Taking pills and so-called medicines made by big pharma, that is not healthcare. And yes, I am a very natural woman. And when I get sick, I don't I don't take the medicines. I did my friend did give me something to clear up my congestion or whatever. I was leaking from my nose pretty bad. And she's like, "Here, take this." It was like Claritin or something. And I normally do not take medicines like that. And I guess it helped, but I don't really see the value. It is kind of nice when you've got pretty bad symptoms of a cold. You can maybe take something, but I found something else that helped me a lot better. Your broken bone, yeah, you probably would want to see a doctor for that because that is something maybe you can't take care of. But actually, I have fractured my foot once and I didn't have a doctor deal with it. I just like wore an air cast, which you can get from anywhere. And, it got better on its own. It really did. I don't know. I'm not worried about it. But people who spend all this money on healthcare, I don't spend a dime. My healthcare, like I said, sunshine, fresh air, exercise, eating fresh food. I love you, Jasmine. Oh my gosh. Yeah, right. No drinking, no drugs. Just be normal. Okay, so here's what really helped my cold is I take salt water and I snort it. Snorting salt water. It's super helpful when you have a cold. I think some people call it a neti pot or you get something called a neti pot. I don't have anything like that. I'm literally teaspoon or in my hand snorting salt water. It's really helpful when you get a cold. Try it out. Yeah, I know. We Americans, we don't want anything from our government. Quite frankly, I know there are people who take advantage of the welfare and all that stuff, but normally people like me, people like that guy that just said that, we don't want anything from the government. We want to be free range people. I look at government affairs or government welfare, stuff like that. Y'all ask too many questions. I don't want to tell anybody what I'm doing all day long and how much money I'm making and where I'm going and who I'm talking to. Get out of here with that. I'm a free range woman. I want to do it all by myself, on my own. And I don't want any help from anybody. So that's why I am a journalist, an author, an editor. Check out my website, jillbooks.com. I have no sponsors on my show. Nobody helps me do this show. I do it all by myself. I have all buy my own equipment, everything. And those of you who donated to me today, Super Chat, I love you so much. It's very helpful because I need a new microphone. I always forget the word microphone. I need a new microphone. So your money that you donate to me will go towards buying a microphone, paying bills, all that stuff. I appreciate it. Yes, I have new books coming out. Yes, Bob, absolutely. I actually am working on a new book that is called 7 Years in Switzerland. It is the sequel to, wait a minute, the sequel to this book, Do You Think About Me on My Birthday? Look, this is a big, thick book written by me. No AI needed. Actually, it took me 40 years to write this book. 40 years. And that's why I value it. That's why, people are like, oh, it costs too much. It's $35 for this book. And I know people think that's too much money. But you'll go out to dinner and you'll spend $100 on a meal. You'll have this forever. And that meal is going to go right through you. I was raised Jewish, yes. Thank you so much, Juan. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, raised Jewish, but accepted Jesus in 2018. So I'm going to read you a little bit from my book because people like that. And why not? You want to get to know me? You want to watch the Beach Report? I do all sorts of stuff, but I do very much like to write. And people will say, like I'll say I've been a journalist since I graduated from journalism school in 1987. They'll be like, "You're not a real journalist." Yeah. Would you say that to a plumber who's been working since 1987? You're not a real plumber. Yeah, it's really annoying. I've written hundreds of thousands of articles. They've been published all over the world. I was with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette from 2001 until like 2018, I think it was. I stopped writing for them. I'm glad I was alive because I was doing work while I was wrapping the... Oh, you got... I don't know what you're talking about, Kat. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not an ex-Jew. I'm a Jew who accepts Jesus. So I'm not an ex anything. Oh, well, I'm an ex-wife, but there's that. Sherry has a special shelf on her bookcase for my books. Oh my gosh, I love that. Taylor, my book is called Do You Think About Me on My Birthday? A mind-blowing adoption story. And this is actually my first cover. I have updated my cover. So when you see it on my website, it's like more green colors in there because I do it all myself. It's called The Top Shelf. Oh my gosh, I love you. Men wear yarmulkes, Genevieve, not women. And Jewish men don't wear yarmulkes all the time, usually only in synagogue. So, yes, Taylor, I'm not a mean person. Although, when you get nasty on me, I do fight back. Can I post the like for your books? Well, the link. Oh, the link. Just, you guys will post it. Do that jillbooks.com thing that you do with an M, Gretchen, with an M. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. You guys are the best. But yeah, I do the Beach Report every day, and it's like the best part of my life. It's kind of like a magazine show. I'm a magazine journalist. That's how I started in magazine. I love magazines. I've written for several magazines. One you might know, a big national magazine called Human Resource Executive, which taught me a lot about human resources, even though I've never worked in human resources. Rose says, I like books and audio, although there's something about holding a book in your hands. I know, I agree. And I know I have to do audiobooks because everybody likes to hear me read. So I'll read you a little pivotal part of my book. I'm going to go all the way to the end. Like, this is bad. This is spoiler stuff, but you know, sometimes it's fun. Maybe makes you want to know what happened before. It's a long book, but I think people tell me that they get through it really fast because, thank you, Joyce, because it's fun to write or fun to read. Here's what I feel about AI. That's a great question, Eric. I think that AI is a good tool to use, but it's very destructive towards people who want to be writers and think that AI can help them to be writers. AI is not going to help you to be a writer, especially if you let it write for you, because everybody knows a writer's voice when they hear it. And that's the most important thing you can have as a writer, a voice that people recognize. And when you hear something written by AI, I'll bet you guys all recognize it by now because AI has a voice. I love James Patterson, Joe. Yes, that is one of my favorite authors. My other favorite authors would be, well, Rebecca, wait, losing my memory here on my names. Well, Irwin, the World According to Garp writer. I don't know why I can't think right now. There's a book called Rebecca. That's not the name of the author, though. And then sometimes I have a guy who comes on here as a sheep shearer from Australia, which always reminds me of the Colleen McCullough book, The Thornbirds, which is one of my very favorite books in the whole world. And so when I see the sheep shearer, I'm like, Thornbirds. I did always like Stephen King. He actually lives in Sarasota. I know where he lives, but I don't like him as a person because he hates my country and hates my president. John Irving, thank you, Eric. You are clearly a reader. But yeah, AI, I think, is destructive for budding writers. But if you are already a seasoned writer like I am, AI can be really helpful with editing. Just use it kind of as a like a coach, you know, and you can work with AI, but you work with AI. You do not let AI do your work because everybody will find out. You can use what it helps you with, though. It's not a bad tool. It's a good tool, actually. Patterson lives in Florida. I think you're right about that. I was a big fan of Pat Conroy. Oh yeah, I don't know Lords of Discipline, but didn't Pat Conroy write Beach Music? That was a really good book. Yeah, and Stephen King hates Maine. It's kind of clear from the way he writes his books. Bye, Bob. I'm glad that you were here. Oh, that's Scott. I should know by now. You guys have different names, and then I remember, but then I forget. But okay, Scott, I should have known it was you. AI does not have a heart or soul. Rose, that right there is a big issue. Okay, do you guys want me to read a little bit from my book? Let me know. Maybe you don't want to hear it. I know you do. Okay. So, I can't just read you a spoiler because it doesn't make as much sense. Here, I'll read you this chapter. It's called How's Your Whore? That's right, your whore. 1983 should have been the best year of Lisa Stern's life. It was the year she would graduate from high school, the year she would turn 18, and the year she would go away to college. New Year's Day was spent celebrating on skis in Aspen, Colorado, with Dad, 16-year-old Jim, and 13-year-old Pam. Flying down a seemingly endless slope of sparkling snow, the carefree teenager was excited about the gleaming future that lay ahead. Home again in Pittsburgh a week later, 1983 abruptly turned into the worst year of her life. Your mother and I are getting a divorce, her father announced solemnly to his children after summoning the three of them into the living room for a family powwow. They all nodded sadly. Her brother and sister had seen this coming for months. And even though she refused to believe them when they talked about it, Leah knew it was coming too. It was a bitter pill to swallow. She'd always been so proud of what she thought was a happy family. But she could deal with entering broken home status. A few of her friends had been through it and they survived. Before she had a chance to offer her support, her mother started screaming at their father from a wingback chair in the corner of the living room. Tell them the other part! Tell them the other part! Alarms went off in Leah's head. Other part? What other part? The three children looked at their father expectantly, but he looked at their mother with tears in his eyes. Joanne, he begged her, please stop. I don't think this is the time. Tell them, she ordered. and he suddenly began talking about another woman. In Leah's head, his next few sentences became garbled and unconnected to the man she'd known as her dad. "I'm not getting married anytime soon," Leah heard him say. And that was when she snapped to attention. "Married?" Leah jumped to her feet and stared with disbelief at her father. "First you say you're getting divorced, then you're talking about getting married? How long has this been going on?" Again, he turns towards her mother, who was just sitting there in her chair, looking fierce and sad at the same time, tears streaming down her face. There was a long silence, and when he began staring off into space, Leah commanded her father's attention. "So?" "What?" He just blinked at her, looking uncharacteristically lost and confused. "How long has this been going?" She tapered off the sentence as she realized that he was crying and waited for his reply. "A couple of years," he admitted. She felt like the biggest idiot on earth. How could she not see this coming? Her brother and sister had run off somewhere, leaving her alone to demand answers from him. Maybe they already knew. Maybe they didn't want to know. But at that moment, her whole belief system was being shattered, and Leah needed all the facts. Who is she? Where does she live? How old is she? Is she Jewish? She interrogated her father relentlessly. Only minutes before, he had been her beloved daddy, but now he was a stranger who was living some kind of lurid double life while they waited until 8 p.m. to eat their dinner because he always came home so late. She thought about the way he called her a sneak with a sneer on his face when he found out that she was hiding a cache of candy under her bed when she was 11. She remembered the fury in his voice saying, "Don't you dare lie to your mother," that time last year when they found out that she ditched a day of school to shop at the mall. This particular night, her father suddenly showed himself to be a lying, cheating, home-wrecking. Leah searched for the word that means male slut and ended the evening by calling him a gigolo before stomping off to bed. Her respect for him was gone. The next morning, Jim and Leah followed their father down the staircase and into the foyer and watched him get his coat out of the closet as usual. However, on this particular morning, things were considerably different because he was carrying a suitcase along with his bag full of patient files. "I hope someday you'll be able to understand." Jim cut him off before he could say anything more. "Dad, I won't ever understand how you could do this to us." The teenager looked at his father with utter disgust. "I'm not doing this to you. I'm not leaving you," he tried to reassure them. "This is between your mother and me. This has nothing to do with you." "But Daddy, you and Mommy are married. You made a promise before God," Leah reminded him, and what he said next nearly knocked the wind out of her. "I never intended to be faithful to your mother," he informed his two eldest children, like he was talking about the weather. Leah looked at him in shock. Her blind trust, sacred vows crumbled to rubble with the force of her father's bombshell confession. Suitcase in hand, Dr. Barry Stern began heading down the basement steps to the garage. At that moment, Leah found it unbelievably easy, if not necessary, to do something she would have never dared to do in the past. Okay, go away, Bitcoin people. Standing at the top of the stairs next to her brother, who had tears running down his face, Leah felt a powerful rage explode from her chest as she screamed down to her dad, "You asshole! If you go now, don't ever come back." "Don't go," Jim bawled, watching him walk down the stairs, head hanging like a naughty dog. As he hit the landing, Barry looked back at them with tears in his eyes, but his intention to leave was clear. "Go find your whore," Leah spat as he turned the corner. "Go find that bitch and ruin her family, too. I hope the two of you enjoy your wonderful sex. I hate you. Go to hell, Jim chimed in before running off to see how their mother was doing. Leah, on the other hand, just stood there in the doorway, listening to the sound of the garage door going up and him opening the door to his car. When she heard the engine roar to life, she ran over to the front door of their house, opened it wide, and stood on the porch as she watched him drive away. She raised her middle finger in a salute to his departure and watched his car glide down the driveway, onto the road, and out of their lives before running back into the house and collapsing against the door jamb, where she cried until she thought her head would explode. Hi, Lappy. I'm reading it from my book. Looks like someone might have just bought a book, too. I love you. Thank you. After a little while, she felt the hands of her brother pull her into the foyer gently by the shoulders and set her down at the foot of the curving staircase. He was already taking over as the man of the family. Come here, honey. She looked up to see her mother standing at the top of the staircase just outside the master bedroom. Her face was swollen and blotchy, looking like her head was in danger of exploding too. Her voice sounded hoarse, and she barely spoke above a whisper as she beckoned her eldest daughter to her side. Leah moved up the stairs slowly, feeling as though she had just run a marathon. After what felt like at least 10 minutes to drag her weary body up the stairs, her mother took Leah into her arms and pressed her daughter's face into her generous bosom. A fresh barrage of tears erupted, and Leah cried miserably, making the front of her mother's shirt wet and slimy. Despite everything, Leah still expected her mother to say something about her foul language. But she didn't mention a thing about it, just held her daughter and cried right along with her. The rest of that day was spent in bed like she was sick. Leah still had to go to school the next day, and as she headed into Spanish class that morning, unprepared to take an important exam, her new reality suddenly kicked in. My dad left our family for a whore this morning, she confided to the teacher, thinking it was a pretty good excuse. She smiled to herself at the shocked look on his face as he quickly gave her another day to study. In the weeks and months that followed, the gossip mill began churning out stories all over the city and suburbs as everyone they ever knew was forced to take sides in an escalating war, where her brother, sister, and she got to be the mentally tortured hostages in the middle. At first, it was Leah and Jim against their father. Pam was supporting him for a couple of weeks until he failed to show up for her 14th birthday, which disappointed her so much that she abruptly turned on him too. The three children rallied around their mother, trying to bring her out of her misery and hatred for her soon-to-be ex-husband. We love you, Mommy. You'll be okay. They tried to reassure her, but Joanne kept saying that soon he'd be the one with the family all around him, and she'd be tossed aside like yesterday's business because that was the way he wanted it. And she knew only too well that Barry Stern always got his way, no matter what. Leah blamed her father's girlfriend for the destruction of her family. All of a sudden, she made a mortal enemy out of someone she didn't even know. The woman in question lived across town and had a husband and children of her own. A former patient, this woman had been having an affair with Leah's father for the past 3 years. Yeah, right. She constructed a mental picture of the woman by fitting together all of the information she'd heard from listening to her mother talk on the phone to her friends. She'd heard all about the woman's long blonde hair and big plastic boobs, courtesy of her father, how she used to be a model. Leah compiled this information to characterize an immoral hussy, a barfly, a shameless shiksa who she unceremoniously dubbed the whore. One of Leah's friends at school was also going through the same kind of fan-flying shit that she was, and they used to stop each other in the halls between classes to ask, "How's your whore?" "Mine's just fine and screwing up my life, thanks. How's your whore?" The two girls joked about it in public, but inside their broken homes, the whores were doing immeasurable damage. Oh, that was you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Do you think about me on my birthday? Yeah, let's talk about the audio version in a minute. But thank you, Scott. I greatly appreciate that you just bought a book. You and Jamie Crow bought a book the other day, too. So thank you guys so much. Hurt and betrayed. I'm continuing. Hurt and betrayed beyond belief. Joanne Stern became a bitter, vengeful version of her former self. On the one hand, she would remind her three children, he left us for her. And then she would brag to her friends that she would never try to turn the kids against their dad. Then again, how could the children not turn against the defector who betrayed their family and their mother in so many callous and obscene ways? After learning that the whore's two daughters were the same ages as her own younger brother and sister, Leah sensed that her father was trading them in for a new and improved family, as she got the details about the two pretty teens vying for her place in her father's life. The girls, Kara and Danielle, by the way, all of these names are changed, were supporting their mother's affair with Leah's dad. She learned from her mother's conversations on the phone that they had actually been covering up for the whore, so their own father wouldn't find out about their mother's affair. The whore's husband was the one who finally called Joanne on the phone to tell her the truth. He knew something was going on when she started gaining weight, Joanne recounted, snorting at the irony. He told me she would jump off the scale each morning and start swearing about her weight. Leah stored all of this incoming information into a new section of her brain as she tried to get the murky truth about what was happening to her family and why. She grilled her father at their frequent meetings, which were often held in restaurants and usually ended with Leah crying into a plate of uneaten food. Are you going to live with her children? Leah asked him during one such meeting. Barry promised Leah that he would never love the whore's children and would never live with them, yet she wondered how long he could put up with the hostile treatment he was getting from his own children. She knew it wouldn't last, because already he was refusing to let Leah speak derisively of the whore. Don't call her that, he'd snarl before softening. You don't even know her. But once you do, you'll see that she's a wonderful person. I never want to meet her, Leah declared, although she really was intrigued. A wonderful person would never cheat on her family like that. She's a whore, Leah said the words boldly and expected the resulting painful tug on her hair, which only confirmed that her father was moving on without them, defending his new turf. During the months that followed, Leah watched her father drift away from them. He wore clothes she didn't recognize. He lived in an apartment that had no familiarity, and he was in love with someone she didn't even know. This jarring shift in plans forced the teenager to reevaluate her own notions about love and marriage. Nothing made sense to her anymore as her family became a battle zone, and she felt that her father had transformed everything she'd ever trusted into a despicable lie. Once chosen, she now felt discarded. She was incredibly disappointed with the way things had turned out. Joanne and Barry became concerned that their eldest daughter had become too thin and sad-looking, so they sent her to see a child psychologist once a week. Leah has basically stopped eating in an attempt to gain control of a situation that is completely out of her hands, her psychologist told the Sterns. She knows that her father values beautiful things, and she thinks that by losing weight, she will gain her father's approval and hopefully win him back for her family. 5'11", Joanne had always been a big girl. However, over the years, she had put on a lot of weight, to the point that she had become obese. Her face was framed in fat, her stomach stuck out way past her bosom, and the only part of her that wasn't affected were her long, shapely legs. As a plastic surgeon, Barry was in the business of beauty, and he was embarrassed by his fat wife. A demanding husband from the first, Barry expected gourmet meals for dinner and was displeased with anything less than perfection. Joanne lavished love and attention on her husband as she tried to keep him happy, but he always found something to gripe about. She began to use food as an outlet for her feelings of low self-worth after being berated time and again by her husband as though she were a naughty child. Over the years, Barry had become increasingly critical of his wife, muttering, "fat bitch," under his breath to his children when she took too long getting out of the car. The first time Leah heard him say that, she was shocked. But at the same time, she wondered why her mother couldn't control her weight. Losing weight was something that Leah had become an expert in, since all of her mother's diets were passed on to her like scripture. "Don't ever get fat," Leah warned her daughter repeatedly as Leo reached for a second cookie. It used to make Leah angry that her mother was so observant of every morsel of food she ate, so she started buying Pop-Tarts on the sly and eating them in the woods behind her house. That wasn't the only thing she was sneak eating behind her mother's back. When it started to show, Joanne told her daughter, "I'm going to have to start calling you Crisco because you're fat in the can." When Leah read the book, The Best Little Girl in the World, which was about a teenage girl who had anorexia nervosa, it changed her life. The girl's anorexic symptoms looked like effective diet advice to Leah. Just before Barry left their family, Leah was 5'3" and weighed 105 pounds. In the months after his departure, she starved herself down to 88 pounds. Her brother had started calling her Cambodia, but Leah considered it a compliment. Every week, the sullen teen would sit in the psychologist's office and stare at the ceiling, or count all the objects on the woman's desk, or fall asleep right in front of her. Leah privately thought that her parents were throwing away their money, but she didn't care. She just kept going to the woman's office, waiting for something, anything to happen. Sitting around feeling sorry for herself was driving Leah crazy. So she decided to take action. She became a super sleuth, staking out her father's apartment and even going as far as to copy his keys so she could sneak into his new bachelor's pad when he was at work. She would take her friends Allie and Sarah and even her little sister Pam on some of these information gathering expeditions. Once she noticed a note tacked up next to his bed that said, "I love you more." The handwriting was unfamiliar, and when Leah saw it, she showed it to her sister. "Look, Pam, the whore must think she loves him more than we do." Pam began crying and refused to ever go there with Leah again. Leah's meetings with her father were always strained and angry because Barry was done putting up with his daughter's accusatory attitude. "You open your mouth and shit falls out," he told his daughter, sure that Joanne, who was feeding the teenager all of her lines and incessant questions. During the next few months, Barry would fly into a rage whenever she dared to call his sweetheart the whore, sparking emotional outbursts in all of their favorite restaurants. So embarrassing. Leah Stern's youthful perceptions of life and love had become a confusing jumble of contradictions as she sat on the staircase at home and listened to her mother talk on the phone, revealing lurid tales of how Leah's father had betrayed them all for lust. It made her more curious than ever before about the apparent power of sex. Boys had been sniffing around her force field since she was a preteen, but her shyness always came off as arrogance, which sent most of them scurrying away towards friendlier girls. The boys whom she did feel comfortable enough with to befriend were no threat and not attractive to her in the least. However, if they wanted more than friendship from Leah, she froze them out, disappointed to the point of heartbreak. "I thought they were my friends, but it seems the boys just want one thing," she lamented to her friends, who rolled their eyes at her. In senior high school, Leah considered the only really interesting boys to be out of her league. Became so nervous in their presence that she had trouble speaking and preferred to hide from them when she would see them coming. As a result, they were not able to notice her interest, let alone her. So she quietly pined for each new crush and decided they wouldn't want her anyway. However, a crush wasn't love. She knew that there was something very magical and compelling about romantic love, and Leah wondered how it could be so different from the love she had for her family, the love she had for her dog, the love she had for her friends. Hi, Stacy. Sexual influences surrounded young Leah even while she made Toll House cookies in home ec class in 6th grade, listening to Rod Stewart sing about being sexy. Remember that song? If you want my body and you think I'm sexy. Seriously, 8th graders listening to this song. Can you even? Early in her senior year, Leah met Allie Sample. Allie was a loner at school because her dad was always relocating their family for his job. Leah liked hearing Allie's exciting tales of having lived all over the world and her active love life, her boyfriend in California, her beau in France, and the college guy she was dating. Allie was breathtakingly beautiful, which automatically made her one of the most hated girls in school. A long blonde spill of hair as fine as silk framed her china doll face in light wisps of gold. And then there were those full, pouty lips that always glistened beneath a fresh coat of frosted pink lipstick. Everyone called her Pinky at school, but Leah's pet name for her friend was Bowling Alley, and she was the most exciting person Leah had ever known. She told Leah tales of boys creeping into her room at night through the window, boys calling her in desperation on the phone, boys being devastated when she broke up with them. Unlike Leah, who fancied herself to be invisible to boys, Allie was magnetic to the opposite sex. Leah was also spending time with another new girl in the neighborhood that year, named Sarah Martinelli. Always coiffed and dressed to the nines, Sarah looked like an Italian version of Marilyn Monroe. Sarah's parents let her drive her own car to school because she was going part-time to tech school to become a hairdresser. She often saved Leah from having to ride the bus. Sarah was going steady with Mark, who was a couple of years older. They always kissed with their tongues, which made Leah very uncomfortable. Her friends' lives appeared quite exotic to the sheltered Leah, and it embarrassed her that they were having sex while she was getting distraught over French kissing and hickeys. Allie told her, "Wait until you see one. They look absolutely disgusting." One what? Leah had no idea what Allie was talking about. You know, a guy's thing. What's so disgusting about a penis? Haven't you ever seen one before? And I suppose you have? Well, I've changed baby boys' diapers, and my father likes to walk around naked whenever possible. Leah stated, thinking that this was normal behavior for a dad. My father would never, Allie declared, before adding, yeah, real weird, before adding, okay, you may have seen a thing or two, but you've never seen one in action. With her knowing smile, she had a way of making Leah feel so immature and pathetic for still being a virgin. The way some of her friends talked, it seemed like this was a bad thing to be. All along, Leah had very high expectations for her future lover because motherhood had been her earliest objective. She wanted to create the perfect experience of a wanted baby coming into the world, which required the perfect man to provide the ideal setting. I'm going to start there. That's a long chapter, and it goes through a lot. But what I didn't read and what I read to you guys yesterday is about being adopted and the way that, and by the way, I changed the name. So, the Leah that you're reading about is me. It's actually my Hebrew name. But the fact that when you're adopted, one of the things, thanks Scott, sharing everything you love or not. An audio version would be awesome. Oh boy. Well, you actually bought the book, Scott, so that's a good sign. You know what? I've been thinking as far as audio versions. I know everyone loves it when I read my books to them. And what if I just started reading the books on my members only shows, and then you guys just monthly, you can join the members group, and I get $2 and you get to hear the book. I don't know. Gretchen forgot where she was for a minute. I love that. Aw, thanks, Mark. Anyway, yeah, 40 years of work on that book. And when you hear me reading it, you need to know that there are thousands of pages that didn't make it into that book. And that's why I'm writing a sequel to that book called 7 Years in Switzerland. So that also will help me to use some of the material that I didn't put in the first book. So if you guys want to hear a little preview of 7 Years in Switzerland, because I've been working on it a lot lately. I have like this issue with, hold on, guys. I love it when someone always comes on and says nobody cares, but they're watching. You cared to say that. Oh, you're so funny. People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are all even when you're down, when you're strange. Oh man, I'm sitting on a chair and I don't like to sit on chairs because they hurt. Faces come out of the rain. This is Say Bella, actually, this lipstick that I'm wearing. This is made by the Melaleuca company, so it is more, it's not made in China, that's for sure. I won't wear any lipstick or any makeup made in China. But anyway, yeah. It's a pretty color, isn't it? It's the only makeup that I'm wearing. I'm wearing absolutely no other makeup, just the lipstick. Sometimes I do like to wear a little bit of eyeliner, although I'd stopped wearing eyeliner for a long time, well, especially when my dog died, because crying every day, not helpful with eyeliner. But I did find this. I found this at Ulta, and it's Revlon Color Stay, and I like it. It actually is basically waterproof. So sometimes I wear this. I'm not wearing it right now, but sometimes I wear a little bit of eyeliner. And that's the only kind of makeup that I ever wear. I was never a big makeup girl, but so I'm still in Fort Myers, but it's raining, so Fort Myers Beach is awash today. All right, I am going to read you, now, please keep in mind that this is all rough draft stuff and not necessarily going to all be in the book. But here is a chapter called Most Wanted. I'll just read you a little bit of it. And I've not read this to anybody yet, so I'm a little nervous reading, uncut, unedited stuff. But yes, the mind of an author. It is fun. It is fun. I know. It's absolutely true. Sorry, I'm still have a little bit of my cold left. Okay. Okay. Chapter Most Wanted. Never called Uma Thurman before. It's funny. You guys are hilarious. Okay. My father died exactly 2 months ago. And no names have been changed in this one, by the way. My father died exactly 2 months ago, and I still wake at 4:30 a.m. to the sound of scratching. It's only the dog, Bunny, pacing for her early morning pee break. But in my head, I hear something else. The wet bubbling of his lungs in that hospital room, the sound of cancer drowning him from the inside out. The alarm goes off for Jenny to get up for middle school. Either my husband or I wake her, depending on who is more tired. But this morning, there's no point in pretending that I'll fall back asleep. I pull on clothes, see my son off to 4th grade, make tea, feed the dog, and eat the kind of high-fiber breakfast a 40-something woman eats when she's gained 25 pounds since she quit smoking in July. Somewhere in between the kettle boiling and the first soggy bite of cereal, the dream returns in full color. My dad is alive again. We had a funeral for you, I tell him in the dream. You're dead. He shrugs, casual as ever. The Dilaudid, he said, kept him preserved, like formaldehyde. But he really is dead, even if my body refuses to believe it. Nothing is forever. Bernie Cohen was as brilliant as he was clueless, as strong as he was weak, as good as he was bad. When moral decisions come up in my life, I still find myself asking, what would Bernie do? And then I do exactly the opposite. I'm not here to paint him as a monster or a saint. He was the one man who was supposed to protect me. And instead, he taught me to live life by example. Bad example. He was my adoptive father, the plastic surgeon with 4 daughters. 2 he adopted and 2 he bought. He raised me, loved me, tore me down, carved my body with his scalpel, and left me with a lifetime of scars, inside and out. That's not where my story really begins, though. To understand why his death feels like a sequel to a life I never quite believed was mine, you have to start where I did, with a name that wasn't really my name. I started my life on Earth as an unwanted intruder. Luckily for me, the people who created me were so messed up that even they knew they weren't fit to be parents. My existence baffled and amused me long before I had the language to explain it. From as early as I can remember, I knew that I was adopted. This was no big reveal, no dramatic living room confession. My parents, my real parents, the ones who raised me, told me a simple story. I was chosen. They said God picked me to be the first adopted daughter of a plastic surgeon and his wife. Jews who demonstrated high moral standards, valued education, and believed in their own high income potential. My mother liked to tell the story of how we met. There was a little room with a crib in it, like a nursery, she would begin. I took one look at you and I was hooked. We bonded. They had dressed me in agency clothes, but she brought her own outfit. She changed me right there, claimed me in cotton and buttons, and then picked me up and handed me to Bernie so he'd be involved from the get-go. You were fine, adorable, easy to please, she said. You didn't cry. The agency gave her a paper with my feeding schedule. Outside, it was snowing. Beautiful, she always added, as if the weather itself had blessed the transaction. She carried her little pink bundle out into the snow and took me home. Bernie celebrated by playing the overture of 1812 on the stereo, so I wouldn't be upset by loud noises. I slept through the night, terrifying my brand new mother, who stayed awake to make sure that I was still breathing. At one point, she shook Bernie awake in tears, convinced that I was dead. They held a mirror under my nose to see if it fogged. My first night as a mother was so scary, she told me. You woke up at 9 a.m., happy. That's the official origin story. A planned adoption, a matched baby, a snowy day, a pink bundle, an overture, a mirror, and a happy ending. Told often enough, it calcified into myth. I clung to it like a child grips a favorite picture book. God chose me. They chose me. We were meant to be a fairy tale family. Still, underneath, a quieter question hummed. Who did I belong to before the snow? Whenever I asked who I had been before those 2 weeks in the agency crib, the answer never changed. You were ours before you were born, they would say. The agency had matched us while my first mother was still pregnant, my parents insisted. This was a plan that took place before I even existed. A divine pre-order. If you tell a child that her life is planned by God, she will spend a long time trying to figure out what exactly she was planned for. There's more. Oh my gosh, it's a lot. Wait, okay, I'll read the rest of this. Do you want me to read the rest of it? Maybe it's boring. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know if I should go on. Oh, I might ask. Rachel. How you doing, Rachel? Yes, you're right. Have everlasting life through Jesus. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, Sherry. Okay, Darla. Darla, you love everything I do. Why? Why? Okay. For the first 3 years of my life, I was the it girl. Easy to please and desperate for love, I basked in undivided attention. My Uncle Archie, one of my many fake relatives, liked to refer to me as a shithead in a sea of blondes, which I later understood was his backhanded way of marking me as special. I was fascinated by real families. Thank you, serving. People who looked like each other, who shared noses and chins and eye colors like matching luggage. Being raised Jewish in a world of Gentiles didn't help. Everywhere I looked, I was reminded that I didn't quite fit in. And then my baby sister arrived. She had a sweet disposition and a bubbly personality, and my parents adored her. I adored her too, but the math was simple. The more attention she got, the less there was for me. I felt the decline in affection like a draft in a closed room. Jealousy bloomed ugly and hot, and I hated myself for it. No one told me that love could stretch. I believed it was a finite resource, and I had just been downsized. If I couldn't belong to a family that looked like me, I decided I would belong to the ones that lived in books. Wizard of Oz was my all-time favorite movie. Poor Dorothy didn't even have parents, just Aunt Em and Uncle Henry. And somehow that made sense to me. Oh, Rose wants to hear the whole story. When Judy Garland died, I was 3 and she became my guardian angel, along with Laura Ingalls Wilder and Anne Frank. Laura, Anne, Nancy Drew, sisters, all of them. I imagined Judy Garland was my real mother, but it was Dorothy who captured my soul. Dorothy was lost and wanted to go home. I was home, and it still felt lost. Yes, I had 2 mothers, Rose, you're right. As I grew older, I moved on from prairie girls and hidden attics to grown women with secrets and satin sheets. Judith Krantz and Jackie Collins fueled my budding urges for passion. The forbidden thrill of reading Looking for Mr. Goodbar stayed with me longer than most of my actual adolescence. My days spent as characters in Sidney Sheldon books taught me to fear fame. It was hard to meet real boys when your nose is always stuck in a book, but fictional men were safer anyway. Real life always seemed like a struggle, keeping my room clean, getting good grades, pretending to be a normal girl who didn't stay up half the night, reading under her blanket with a flashlight. I camped out in the corner of my bedroom door, just catching the nightlight. It's a wonder I didn't need reading glasses until college. Real people frightened me. I didn't feel like I fit in with them because, after all, I was just a character in a book. I've always kept a journal. At first, it helped me organize my thoughts about who I was and what my place in the world might be. I wrote because there was nowhere else to put the questions. One of my biggest struggles was with weight and food. My mother, the first person ever to love me fully, was also the first person to teach me that thin was in. She rescued me from an unimaginable life, fell deeply in love with my baby self, and as far as I knew, loved me more than any mother could love a child. She never gave birth to me, but I became the kangaroo in her pocket. She was an English teacher, the woman who turned me on to books and reading. From her shelves, I learned more than she ever guessed. All by myself, I replaced the babies that died in her womb. My brother and sister did the same. There were never 3 children more loved than we were, she insisted. As much as I loved my mother, I loved her parents even more. It was an unwritten rule that my grandparents loved me best. But love in our house came wrapped in obsession, especially around food. Mother was fat, and I identified with that, I learned to say. She told me I was fat too, and every fat joke she ever heard, she told to me in earnest. The obsession was passed down like a family heirloom. Then I read The Best Little Girl in the World and subsequently became what I call a fake anorexic and bulimic. I lost 20% of my body weight. The boys at school ridiculed me for being a stick figure, and my brother called me Cambodia because my wrists were so tiny. I pretended to be upset by the skinny jokes, but secretly I adored them. If there was one thing my mother taught me, it was that thin was in. Because of my status as an adopted child, I was always forced to focus on the future. With no past to anchor me, I looked inward for clues about who I was supposed to become. Without ties to where I came from, I could invent my identity from scratch. I could be anybody, or I could be a nobody. I wanted to be a writer. That at least felt like a choice that I made for myself. Okay, so that's actually the beginning of 7 Years in Switzerland. Yes, you hear some of the same things that came out of Do You Think About Me on My Birthday, but that's what a sequel does. Sometimes you have to, still add in starts from the other stuff from the other book. So, Rachel moving into a new house. Yay! Congratulations. So yeah, I'd like to hear what you guys think about the new book. If you think anybody will buy it? I hope so. Uh, I'm hoping to publish this book before the spring because I would like to do a book signing tour when I go up north. So my birthday is in November, John. But that's why my book is called Do You Think About Me on My Birthday? Because when you are adopted, sometimes your birthday is the only thing that you have to know that you were born from people. All right, you guys. Oh, you're welcome. So yeah, I'm thinking of ways that I can do an audio book, but like I want to get paid. you know? Reading to the members is a good idea. I could do like one chapter every week or something like that. Yeah, Rachel, you do need a little help with spelling and grammar, but you know what? That's where Chat GPT and AI can help you. That's a good help for writers is the spelling and the grammar stuff. So yeah, I know I need to do an audiobook. I don't know how to do that. I'm gonna figure it out. Anyway, if you guys do like it and you do want to support the Beach Report, I do take tips, and I do greatly appreciate your support because, like I said, I don't take sponsorships from anybody else. Nobody pays me to do this, and I have recently been thinking that as I turn 60, I need to find a job or something that pays better than social media, which is quite frankly, and thank you, Serving My Redeemer. What a great name. I appreciate that so much. Um, but yeah, so I was thinking maybe I need a job, like be a waitress and then I find out it's hard for a 60-year-old woman to get a job these days. I don't have any old employers. I've always been an independent freelance writer. So the Leering Center has online classes for grammar, right? Maybe I should teach people grammar. I don't know, but yeah, I jump into these career job things that I've never done before, like be a waitress or be a Walmart greeter or something like that. But I was really praying today, and the Lord speaks to me in my head, not like actual words, but he reminded me. He said, "Hey, Jill, you've been working on this career as a writer your whole life. Wouldn't it be sad if you just gave it up to go be a waitress or a Walmart greeter?" Um, wouldn't it be sad if you put your efforts into something that never meant anything to you? Like I'm not the person to be the waitress. Although I love to talk to people, I'd probably be a pretty good waitress as far as talking to people. But as far as bringing food and stuff like that, I'm afraid I'm a little clumsy, and that might not work out very well for me. Uh, I will not buy an audiobook if you use AI. Rose, I don't use AI. Don't worry. Yeah, I need to do an audiobook where I just read it. I don't know how to monetize that. I don't know how that works. If anybody does, you want to give me a heads up, let me know. But um, I will do it myself like I do everything. I try really hard not to, um, well, let's just say I try to do everything. I don't outsource anything. I don't have any money, so I can't pay anybody to do work for me. I don't want to. I do want to do all the work myself. Um, yes, I'm AI. Yeah, good one. Yeah, you don't have, Rachel, you don't have to get rid of the person who thinks I'm AI. Just tell them I'm not. And I will never stop making and writing real books. I think capitalism is great. I'm not criticizing capitalism at all. I wish I could partake in it, but it's just really hard for me because I just don't trust anything or anyone. People say, oh, you need to, it's okay, Rachel. Everything's a suggestion here. Yeah, I'm super dumb. How many books have you written? And Darla, you don't have to hide the people who say I'm dumb. That's their opinion. You can have your own opinion. I don't care. Dumb people don't usually write books, but there's that. Yeah, isn't Suno like a music making thing? Yeah, Rachel, yeah, we're all AI. Yeah, it's okay. Nobody cares. Companies don't offer hiring people our age because most know we wouldn't work for the low wage they are offering. Good point there, John. Good point. Work at a bookstore, open your own bookstore. Actually, Rose, I am a book publisher, and I've got 3 books on my website. That's a bookstore. So I have already opened my own bookstore. But yeah, open a bookstore. That's a lot. That requires a place, a lot of books. Not that I don't have a lot of books, I actually do. Sometimes I also think maybe I should sell the books that I have. Like a bookstore where I read to you guys my own book, or I read to you guys somebody else's book, and I say, want to buy it? That could work. It's like I would sell all of the books in my library, every one of them, like $5 each, just to get rid of them. Books take up so much room. And I don't really live anywhere, so I'm taking up a lot of room with those books in somebody else's house. And I probably should liquidate them, right? No relation to Leonard Cohen. There's lots of Cohens in the world. And don't forget I'm adopted, so really no relation to any of them. That's okay. I am family with my Beach Report family. You guys are my family. I make my own family. Rachel wants all of my books. I love that about you, Rachel. And yes, donate your books to the library. I love that too, Sandy. Spread it around. Even though, don't forget, when my book goes to the library, that means people are not paying to buy it. So there's that. It's very hard to be an author and a publisher, and I don't sell my books on Amazon because I don't like Amazon. I think Amazon cheapens everything, and you can actually buy my first book, like it was yesterday on Amazon. You'll get a used copy. Somebody else will have their name in it because I sign all of my books. So, but you can get it cheap. So if you want a cheap copy of like it was yesterday, go buy it on Amazon. If you want a actual brand new copy of like it was yesterday, come to me. I think I got to get a job first, but I will eventually buy all of them. Thank you, Rachel. I don't know. I'm thinking that, like, one of my friends is saying to me, like, bulk sales is where it's at. And maybe I do have to lower my expectations on price. And just because it took me 40 years to write the book doesn't mean that somebody will spend $35. That's less than $1 a year, don't you know? But yeah, I'm not really sure what to do about it. It seems like Americans like to get things cheap. But I don't think people are realizing these days that books written by real people who take a lot of time to make them, and yes, you can get it with my signature on it. Thank you, Rachel, for $40. Um, and then I worry too, if I like drastically lower my prices, that everybody who paid the retail price is going to feel like they're ripped off. What about that? What about that? I don't know what to think about any of it. Like I said, I don't like money. And I don't like selling myself and selling my talents. I wish I could give everybody a book. I wish that they were free. Thank you, Darla, for saying these books are worth $35. I think so too. Like I said, you'll spend that much money on a meal and you won't get to keep the meal. It'll come out in the toilet later. But you buy a book, you get to keep it forever. And you can loan it out or you can give it as a gift. You know, it's all where people think that they'll spend their money. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you. And I'm happy to read the books to you too. So, but we'll find a way, right? We'll find a way. Do not lower them, not yet. Okay. I will wait on that. And I think maybe the key is I just have to publish more books. I don't know. And publish books for other people too, because I love that as well. Margaret says, you can go to those cute little shops in town, ask them if they would put up a spot for you to sell your books. You could get your own table and to set up. You know, Margaret, that's a good idea too. But I have to say that that's also takes a lot of time. I have sold my books at like fairs and stuff. You get a little booth and all of that. And it's never worth it. If I even make back the money that I spent on the booth, I'm lucky. I get ripped off every time I do that. Lots of pseudopsychology for free. You know it, Joyce. Yeah, so setting up a table, that's never worked in the past. I'm just saying. I've tried it. The best thing I can do is do book signings and go to libraries and read my book. And people like to write it after they hear me. I like to read it after they hear me read it to them. So, yeah, my heart's not very smart about money, Rachel. That's why I'm asking you guys, because you're my readers. So, and I have to know, what are people going to, who will buy this wonderful book now? I'm so high, I swear I could fly. Your fan base is growing. Don't lower prices yet. Write a few short stories or short series. That is a great idea too, Gretchen. I think I'm going to do that, actually. You know, I work on 7 Years in Switzerland, and I'm like, I want everything that I put out to be the great American novel. I have really high expectations for everything I write, but there is one book that I've talked about with you guys a little bit. Maybe I actually should publish it. And it's about the word fuck. Sorry, but that's my favorite word. And I'm not saying this to offend anybody, but I just think it's a fucking awesome word. And I kind of want to write a book about that. So, thank you, Rose. Hi, Philip. And you reading parts of your book inspires people to want to buy your books. I think that's true too. But what do you think about the book about fuck? I think I would call it What the Fuck. What do you think? Do not apologize. You write books and you sell them. Be proud. Oh, I'm very proud. I am very proud. Because publishing books is like, it's a dream come true for me. Like, holding this book in my hands, this big, thick, meaty book that I wrote and designed, and this isn't even my end product. This is just this is one of my first covers. I do all of it by myself, so this doesn't even look as good as my book does look for real, but it's all what's on the inside. What do they say? Don't judge a book by its cover, right? Well, when you sign mine, it better say to fucking Gretchen. It will. Oh my God, I love you guys. All right, well, I've been on for more than 100 minutes now. That's a lot. And apparently, YouTube doesn't like it when I'm on for such a long time because nobody watches to the end. But you guys have been on the whole time, so I guess that's a good thing. Oh, Darla held the package for 5 minutes before she opened the book. You guys are so sweet. And you should know every time I send you a book, I kiss it before I send it out to you. I kiss it. I wish it well. I'm like, God be with you. Yes, Lucy, you have to watch from the beginning. Hi, Sherry, because I'm reading and everything. I'm about your books in a protective case. Oh, yeah. Be protective. Yeah, everybody loves my Marilyn Monroe sweatshirt, and that is, of course, due to the amazing Donna, my stylist. Where is Donna? Okay, Scott says, a book named Fuck would be awesome. All right, I think I just gotta do it. Thank you, Rose. Oh, you guys are Darla. Darla, you're such a stalker. I love that about you. All right, you guys. Not that I love stalkers, because you know that's what you think about me on my birthday. This girl being stalked by a lot. That's messed up, isn't it? And that dude. And he doesn't ever have the right to know me, my biological father. Can you believe that? I feel sorry for him because he missed out. He really missed out. Hello, New Zealand. I love my Kiwis. How's it going? It's still summertime down there, right? All right, you guys. Well, I got to get back to work. Now, you really inspired me to think I maybe have to put the book about what the fuck. Do you like that title? What the fuck? I don't know if it will be a problem for me, but I'm just gonna design it and I'm gonna print it and I'm gonna sell it to you guys, okay? I'll do it real fast and maybe I'll make money for the rest of my books. How about that? I love spending time with you too, Rose, and all of you. You guys are my favorite people. And Teddy's there in the summertime in New Zealand. Well, we are all cold even in Florida. It's cold and nasty outside. There will be no beachy beach report today. Sorry, guys. But we'll be back on the beach as soon as the weather gets better. I love you, Sherry. I love you guys. Have a very good, productive rest of your day. John, that is the greatest thing anybody can say to me is to wish me a productive day. So I do love that. Thank you. My website is jillbooks.com. Darla, I don't even have to say it. Rachel's there. You guys are good. You are really good. I love you guys so much. You have no idea. You're my YouTube/Facebook family because a bunch of you come from Facebook, but we don't like Facebook anymore, so we're on YouTube. Enjoy our Illinois weather. I'm in Illinois, so I'm enjoying Canada weather. Oh, you're right, Philip. I have Illinois weather and you have Canada weather. I see a little bit of sun creeping out, so maybe things will not be too bad for too long. All right, you guys. I'm going to see you on the next beach report. And if the weather gets better this evening, we will do a sunset on the beach, but don't count on it. Usually if I promise it, I always pull through, but this I'm not so sure because I don't want to be on the cold windy beach while I'm still getting over this cold. All right, you guys. It was a lot of fun hanging out with you this afternoon. You made a overcast day very sunny indeed. All right, love you guys, and I will fucking see you later. I'm gonna get right on that fuck book. See you guys. Ciao for now.